If you can stop doing what you're doing for a second, just hold on. So thank you for showing me that you're ready. Right, just paying attention, looking forward. Thank you. What I'd like you to do is up on the board, I've put a positive, a negative, and an interesting comment. I would like two people from each group to come up and write their ideas up on the board that your group have generated. Now, just hold on a sec. It doesn't matter if there's duplication. Okay, if it's duplication, if there's the same ideas come up twice, well, that probably means it might be a good thing. It might be something that's going to be a good point for us to talk about, something that's going to be useful for us to consider when we're coming up with rules later in the lesson. So what I want, two people coming up, there are board pens at the front, two people from each group coming up, putting their ideas up on the board. That's your task, let's go. Alright guys, let's take a look at it. So, I do need you listening, thank you. So let's see what we've got. In terms of the positives, we've said that there's less injuries and death. That's what safety rules do. There's less less incidents of crazy death. More proper experiments. Yeah. If you don't take safety precautions, I can see that. There will be no breakages, so it won't waste money. Yeah. If you've got safety rules, then there will never be any accident. If you've got tight and good enough rules. But I don't know. Maybe accidents sometimes happen. It'd be less chaotic, it would make my life easier, that's one of them. Less injury, less death, less dangerous events occurring, less time spent going over rules, which is what we're doing now. Less forms for Mr. Hennigan to fill out. Very, very true, Mr. Hennigan hates filling in forms. And by having lots of rules, I wouldn't have to fill out forms, unless there were forms about rules. Right, negatives. Your next task, guys. Right, in your groups of three, if you're in groups of three, what I'm going to ask you guys to do is, looking at some of the things we've put up on the board for inspiration, I would like you to come up with 5 rules that you think we're going to need in a science lab. Okay? Don't want you to tell me why you've come up with that rule. I just want you to say it. Now, I want you to come up with rules that you think are going to be as useful as possible for working with in science for this year. So that's your task between the 3 of you. Come up with 5 rules. Okay? 5 rules for science. They don't have to, they can be rules from yesterday, but I'd like that we were looking at from the workbook, or they can be other rules that aren't in there. But that's what I want you to be coming up with. Anyone unsure what I'm asking you to do? Okay, just so we check. Leo, what am I asking you to do?
Write down 5 rules for science this year on that piece of paper.
Okay, who are you working with?
These 3.
So those 2. Okay, so that's what you're going to do. You're generating down. What am I not asking you to do? I'm not asking for the reason, I just want the rule for right now. Okay, so that's your task. I'll give you all one sheet of A3 paper. Can you leave it nice and big? So just paying attention if you could. Thank you. So thank you everyone in the row. That's awesome. I can see you paying attention. Right. In front of you, you now have a list, hopefully, of 5 rules. What I would like you to do is to pass that list of rules to the table behind you. Okay? Hang on, not just yet. You don't know what you're going to do with the rules. Right, when you get your new sheet of rules from the group in front of you, what I would like you to do is to write why you think they came up with that rule, what the reason behind that rule is. Because all rules exist for reasons. Right? If you can't come up with a good reason for a rule, then it's probably not a good rule. Okay, so that's how that will work. So you're going to get a list of rules, and in your 3s, what I want you to do is to talk to each other, not write a thing for a couple of minutes. And then I'd like you to write down what you think is the reason for that. So can we all swap our rules, please? Alright, you guys to there, and okay guys, we're just going to finish that one up there. So again, if you can just stop what you're doing for a second, please put your pen stand there in your hand and just look this way. Right. Around the room, you might notice I've put up some splodges of blue tack. Okay? What I'd like you to do, one person from each group, can you now get your piece of A3 paper, and I'd like you to go and put it on the wall. So one person from each group can go to the nearest one. Thank you. Okay, gang. What I'd like you now to do, okay, what's going to happen is make sure you've all got a pen in your hand. Okay? In a minute, I'm going to ask you to get up at your places. And I'm going to ask you to go around and look at each of the rules that we've got up on the board. Now, there are 2 things that you're going to do for each rule, each rule and set of explanations around the board. What I'd like you to do is to write down either an A, a D, or an I. Okay, an A, a D, or an I. Now they're going to be a decision that all three of you in your group will come up with. So if you can't come up with it, you can go with a question mark because you're unsure. Okay, now what the A is going to stand for is if you agree with the rule, okay, you write an A. If you agree with the explanation, you think, you know what, yeah, that sounds like a fair explanation, I'd like to write down an A. If you disagree, what do you think you're going to have to do? A D. Okay, so the D is going to stand for disagree. And if you think that the rule is irrelevant, okay, if you think, you know what, I'm not really sure about that, okay, I don't agree, I don't disagree, I don't think there's anything meaningful to that, I'm not sure it's got anything to do with what we're looking at, then you write an I. If you can't make your mind up, go with the question mark, okay, if you're unsure. Right, that's going to be how this is going to go, so you're just going to go around the room doing that. If we can start with this side of the room, just basically going, working your way around, so we start here, you guys go to that one, you guys go to that one, you go, hang on, you guys go there, you guys go there, you guys go there, you guys go here, you guys go here, you guys go here, you guys go there, we've got one there and one there, okay? Sorry? Oh, your own rules, right. It's a very good point. Do not grade your own rules. And here's another thing that's really important. Really, really important. This isn't about if it's your friend's rule. Okay, you have to judge the idea on its own merits. So you need to take your ego out of the equation. Right, have a couple of questions. So, yes?
So do we grade the whole, like based on the whole thing or just...
You walk up to it. So let's say I went over this one here. I go up to it and go, right, no running or pushing while in the lab. Well, I agree with that. Fair enough, right? Let's look at the explanation. Because dangerous chemicals can be spilled and glassware can be broken. Now, I might disagree. Okay, and we'll talk about that later, why people might disagree. Okay, but maybe you agree, so you wrote down a D. Maybe you thought it was irrelevant, you put down an I. Maybe you didn't know. Okay, that's what you're going to do. Now, you do not do your own rules. Okay, so every minute or so, I'm going to tell you to move on. So you go to a set of rules, you stay by them for a minute, you make your minds up, you grade them all, and that's how we're going to go. So can we go to places, please? Okay guys, can you all stop what you're doing? Can you stop what you're doing and go back to your places, please? So stopping what you're doing, back to places. I know you have to go right the way around. Right, now, what we've gone and done, guys, just get ourselves sitting down, please. What we've gone and done is you've now got dozens and dozens of ideas all over the room. Okay? Now, some of them there's a lot of agreement on, and some of them there's some disagreement on, and some of them people are thinking, well, I'm not sure if that's irrelevant. So, just as a talking point, right here, just randomly picking one. What have we got here? Right, be aware of cautions and hazard signs. Okay, that's a statement. Okay, now, as if you agree that you should be aware of hazard signs. There's a lot of agreement for that. Right, hands down. Hands in the air if you disagree. Okay, that's interesting. Could you say why you disagree? Because there is none. There are none in this room. What if there were some? Fair enough. Okay. Can't really argue with that. Let's see. Now underneath it, it says because ignorance leads to chaos. Okay, that's why that rule is important. And a couple of people have gone with I. They've said that explanation is, I don't think it's relevant. I think it's irrelevant. I would like to tell me who those people who said it was irrelevant was. And guys, okay, I just want to be clear here. When those guys are writing down that it's irrelevant, they're not attacking the person who wrote it. So if that was your rule, right, and somebody wrote I next to it, if you're feeling bad about it, it's not an attack on you. It's an attack on the idea. Okay? And it's okay to criticise ideas. That's what science is about. It's what learning is about. We have to be comfortable challenging ideas. Because if an idea can't stand up to a challenge, it's not a good idea. That's how it works. Anyway, you put your hand up for the I. Could you tell me why you said that was irrelevant?
Well, one reason is it's not necessarily going to cause chaos.
Okay, so what do you think would cause chaos?
Like, everyone just being stupid.
Okay. So being aware of caution and hazard signs doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be chaos. We might need a bit more detail to explain that rule. Can anyone think then of a better explanation of why we need hazard signs? Because everyone seemed to agree that that was a good rule, but the explanation for why we think we need that rule, again, there seems to be people challenging that a little bit.